That is right, folks. The title does not lie. There's apparently a leaked script for Captain America 3 Civil War that dropped on Reddit or 4chan. I'm not exactly too sure because by the time I could go check it out, the script was gone. But I do have details here of what was in the script. And before I go any further, first of all, this video could contain spoilers for Captain America Civil War, but please be advised ahead of time before I actually get into some of these storyline plot points, is that like with everything that leaks, it could be fake, it could be real. Reddit has real production people sometimes drop real stuff, and Reddit also has phonies who drop phony stuff. So just be aware that this could or could not be real. But there are some things in this script that sound pretty legitimate, and then there are other things that really make me believe that this is fake, and I'm going to get into it. So this is a spoiler/speculation video I'm doing for Captain America Civil War, which is coming out next year in the spring. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about the comic book storyline Civil War as well, which, you know, if you haven't read that, I would definitely check that out, even though please be advised that the movie Civil War will not be like the comic. Not exactly, of course, but also from what I've been reading, it might be even less like it. So we're going to get to it. So the cast list was actually announced, and some surprising additions. So pretty much this movie is going to be Captain America Civil War. Okay, it's really the Avenger Civil War, because pretty much every Avenger is going to be in this film with the exception of Thor, Hulk, and Nick Fury. Hulk is obviously, from what I gather, is probably not going to get involved too much because of the events that occurred in the Age of Ultron movie and what he did, which I'm not going to spoil here, even though this will contain some spoilers for Age of Ultron, because if you saw Age of Ultron, it's going to lead right into this, but I'm going to do my best to avoid spoilers for that film for those of you who have not seen it. Anyways, Thor, if you saw Age of Ultron, you know what's up with him. He left for a little while. And I believe that Ragnarok, the Thor Ragnarok film, is going to take place at the same time as Civil War. So he's going to have his thing going on with Loki and Odin and all that. It's going to be a separate thing, probably going on at the same time as Civil War. And of course, Nick Fury is not going to be in this movie, but that doesn't mean that we've seen the last of Nick Fury. So Sam Jackson will be in everything, folks. He's Sam Jackson. You should know that by now, right? So all of the new characters that were introduced in Age of Ultron, the Vision, Scarlet Witch, they're all going to be here. And from what I understand, and we're going to get into some of the spoilers here, the leak is actually suggesting that the Civil War is going to take place between, the Captain America's Avengers and Iron Man, Tony Stark's Avengers, which obviously everybody knows that because that's kind of how it was in the comic. Cap's team is going to be Captain America, Scarlet Witch, the Falcon, and the Vision versus Iron Man, Black Widow, War Machine, and Spider-Man. So that's very surprising right there, because I'm surprised that War Machine... Well, I'm not really surprised War Machine would go back to Tony because he is loyal to Tony, but at the end of Age of Ultron, you saw that War Machine was definitely down with the Cap. So for those who don't know, the storyline in Civil War, in the comic and in the movie, and it's going to be slightly different, is that Captain America, in the movie, is going to have his group of Avengers, and Tony Stark is going to usher in a Superhero Registration Act, which is going to basically require anybody who has, Superhuman Registration Act. It's going to require anybody who has superhuman powers to register with the federal government so that A, they can be monitored, and B, they can be called upon when necessary. Now, these ideals is mostly Tony Stark's idea of kind of ushering, in like a new world of control. But Captain America's ideals are very much not that. Captain America's more so thinking, well, that violates, that's very controlling, and it violates privacy. Because now any supervillain can find out the identity of these heroes and therefore put their families and their loved ones in danger, which is kind of what Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi films, had talked about a lot. And also the X-Men comics, too. The movie's going to be very political. If they follow the Civil War storyline, the whole basis of the Civil War storyline is that it's very much a freedom versus security which, those of you who are kind of familiar with politics, which I'm not going to get into here at all, but it is a frame of reference. There's that whole freedom security argument with the Patriot Act that was signed after 9/11, where they take away your rights supposedly, but they give you more security. That's kind of what this whole storyline's about. It's going to be a civil war amongst the Avengers. They're going to fight each other because of these ideals. But the script says it won't be as politically heavy because Marvel, from what I understand, doesn't really want to portray any of these guys as being quote-unquote villains. They kind of want to do the whole Shades of Grey thing, which to me is a little bit, I don't know. You should just do what they did in the comics, pick a side. But again, very political type of thing because these characters, Cap and Tony Stark, are pretty much metaphors for the real life politics. It's real life stuff here put into the fantasy world. So what we know about the supposed leaked script, all right? First of all, and this is very interesting, Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, has been cast in the film, but he's nowhere to be found in the script. So that's the first thing right there that makes me think the script might be bullshit. Unless they just recently decided to put Ant-Man in there. And here's another thing too, folks. If the script is legit, don't think they won't just go in there and change it now. Because usually in Hollywood, when a script leaks, they'll make some changes to it. So if this is a real leak, then even if it is real, might not be what happens in the movie. So again, Ant-Man is not in the script anywhere, but he has to be, unless maybe he's a very, very, very small cameo, he has to be in the movie because he's cast in the movie. Also, there's going to be a beef between Tony and Bucky. Cap wants to protect Bucky, the Winter Soldier, but Tony has heat with Bucky because Bucky killed Howard Stark. So that's going to be part of the catalyst to why this whole thing goes on. Now, the villain of the movie is going to be Baron Zemo. That's been pretty much confirmed. Crossbones will be there as well. Baron Zemo will be the villain of the film, probably as an instigating source. I don't know if the Avengers are going to reassemble for the finale. I'm guessing they're going to save the Avengers reassembling for the Infinity War film. My guess is that this movie is going to split all of the Avengers apart, and they're going to have to get back together for the Infinity War Part 2. The fact that they're split apart is going to cause Thanos to easily go in there and fuck some shit up, and then they're going to get back together later. That's my guess. That's my speculation. That's how I would do it if I was in charge. Spider-Man is supposed to unmask. One of the biggest things about this storyline in the comic book that was one of the biggest things, biggest plot points is that Tony Stark convinces Spider-Man to go before an international television audience and unmask and reveal his identity. In the script, Spider-Man does not unmask. It's kind of funny because Amazing Spider-Man and the Sam Raimi films had this motherfucker unmasking more times than I could even count, and it really insulted me. And now, the time when he's supposed to unmask, he's not gonna? Okay, they need to change that because let's be real here. That unmasking is a big deal, and hopefully it will play into the Spider-Man Marvel film that's coming out in a couple years. I think it needs to happen. Another reason why I'm hoping that maybe the script is wrong on this one. The final battle is supposed to take place in Wakanda, and Black Panther is supposed to be there. Now, I believe Black Panther is going to be on Cap's side during this whole fight. But apparently in this film, he's not really... Apparently in the movie, he's not like a superhero from what I understand. He's just kind of becoming who he is. A little bit of political stuff there. And of course, the Black Panther film will be coming out soon where he's going to probably do battle with Andy Serkis's character, Ulysses S. Claw, because that's how it was in the comic. Now, one thing that's very interesting too here that I just picked up on is Hawkeye is going to get more screen time. Now, I believe Hawkeye is also going to be on Cap's side, but I could be wrong on that. Hawkeye will be in this movie, and here's a major spoiler coming up here. Apparently, Hawkeye's wife is going to bite the big one. That's right. She's going to die in this movie according to the leaked script. So, it's kind of weird that they just introduced her and, create this whole backstory with Jeremy Renner's character, and they just kill her off like that, but it makes sense in a way. I'm hoping, And this is probably not going to happen, but I'm hoping that before this film comes out, that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show has lots and lots of episodes that are focused on just the split amongst the Avengers, and that they have more character development amongst these characters. Because I think if they build it up in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, and you don't have to have all the actors there, but you talk about it, then it could eventually build up to the point where the movie will have more interest. So, now, the other thing that's very interesting is that Martin Freeman, who recently portrayed Bilbo Baggins in the 3 Hobbit films, is going to be in this film as a bad guy. He's playing Peter Gyrich. Now, anybody who is familiar with the X-Men, both the animated series and the comic, you'll remember Henry Gyrich, who was very much a pro-registration, anti-mutant kind of a human character. Well, it sounds like what they're doing here is they're taking Henry Gyrich, converting him into Peter Gyrich, and then changing mutants to superhuman. So he's going to be in the film. That we do know. Also, the final battle in the movie is supposed to take place in Wakanda, because apparently the big fight in the movie is going to be over vibranium, because of what Ultron did with vibranium, because of what Ulysses S. Claw has been doing with vibranium. And here's the other final spoiler that I have for you here on the end of the film. Now, anybody who's read Civil War, you know that the end of the Civil War storyline features Captain America passing away. He dies. He gets killed. Captain America dies. I thought that they would kill Captain America off in this film, only to bring him back in a future movie. Maybe Infinity Wars 2. But apparently that's not the case. Apparently Cap does not die in this movie, but something does happen to him. He either gets arrested or he goes into exile, and he gives the Captain America shield to Bucky. So Bucky does become Captain America at the end of this film, according to the leaks, but the original Cap, Steve Rogers, does not die. So that's what we know. My thoughts quickly before I end this video is, I feel like this film is going to have some of the same problems that Age of Ultron had, which is they're trying to fit this gigantic storyline into one, 2.5 hour movie. The split of the Avengers was built up decently in Age of Ultron, but I don't think it was built up enough, which is why I'm very much a proponent of them continuing this build up in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, because to me, for them to do this breakup, I'm guessing it's not going to actually hit the fan till Act 2, and then Act 3 they're all going to fight each other. So I'm worried that the movie's going to come off very unnatural, that the fight is going to be unnatural, and that it's not going to have enough time to build up, because these are rational characters, especially the Vision, especially Iron Man and Cap. They're very intelligent. So for them to actually go to war, for them to have a legitimate civil war where they actually fight, where we're going to see a fight, that's going to take a lot. Again, I know they fought in Avengers 1, and but this is, it's been years now. These characters are not getting along. These characters they all want the same thing, which is to protect the Earth, whichever method they choose. So for them to actually fight each other, it's going to take a lot. And I don't know if they're going to be able to capture that in one movie. I feel like they should have built it up more. Maybe in Ant-Man they'll do it. I haven't seen Ant-Man yet, because as of the recording of this video, it hasn't come out yet. I'm recording this in May. Some of you might watch this after May, so I don't know, but I'm sure I'll have an update by then. But it just concerns me that it's such a big and such a great storyline. It was probably the last really great Marvel storyline that I certainly loved, that was involved everybody, and it might not even be, they're going to miss some of the important points, which is like Spider-Man Unmasking and the whole build-up. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I'll check the movie out. It's gonna be Avengers 3. Really, it's the real Avengers 3. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video. Spread the word. And I want to hear what you think. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this leak. Let me know what you think about the potential spoilers. Do you like them? Do you hate them? What would you do? I want to hear from you. And I will catch y'all down the road.